to all the comments on social media which says, आप ही ने promise किया था, आप काला धन लाएंगे और salaried class को honor करेंगे because they are the real patriots. And what have they got? They've got an increase in long-term capital gains tax, which has gone up from 10% to 12.5%, which means anybody who invests in the market, and you know there are a lot of retail investors in the market who invest in mutual funds, उनके टैक्स बढ़ गए, उनके पास पेंशन का कवर नहीं है, उनको आयुष्मान भारत नहीं मिलता, उनको गरीब कल्याण योजना नहीं मिलता, उनके बच्चों को आप लोन में भी सबवेंशन नहीं देंगे, लेकिन उनका टैक्स बढ़ गया. और दूसरी तरफ लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल गेन्स टैक्स हैज आल्सो come down from 20% to 12.5% in the assets segment, but indexation has been taken away. Now, your party can joke about the fact that everybody is an indexation expert, but in some cases, that tax, in some cases, will hit people selling in the short run.
Navika, I'm sorry, I don't know whoever informs you on this long-term capital gains tax and the measures that we've taken. In fact, since last night, the CBDT has been putting out, and even now as I've come for this interview, there is a frequently asked questions section, yes. FAQs, which the CBDT has put out, explaining in detail. It's differently, yeah. I think. Explaining in detail as to why this has been made. Yesterday in the press conference, the Revenue Secretary neatly explained as to how 1.25 lakh has been exempted annually for the smaller investors in the market. They are not subject to 1.25 lakh is not subject to the tax. So keeping in mind the small investors, we've given that exemption. But as Revenue Secretary rightly explained, majority of them who are earning big amounts out of it are the ones who will be paying 12.5 rather than 10 now. And the indexation removal has been explained very clearly with case instances. So many cases have been shown as those which we studied before we brought this, so that people will pay lesser than what they have been paying even with indexation. What they're going to pay at 12.5 is lesser than even what they have paid if the indexation were to be there. So enough work was done in consultation with people who advise us on these matters, and it has not been brought in thoughtlessly. And today, and since last night, the kind of explanations that we are giving to dispel all these quick fix answers people have given, which are not right. I would want everybody to please go through the explanations, the clarifications, the FAQ, which the Income Tax Department, the CBDT, has put out. Then you'll know that it is certainly not going to hurt most people. There can be some who are getting that benefit at a higher level, but certainly not the middle class, certainly not the poor, small retail investors. I can assure you on that. Enough and more work was done with instances of what if the price is now here, what it was purchased so and so year. We've done all that and we've put it all out.
So you're
kindly
saying
have a look at it.
I looked at it.
It was done. Let me assure you with this one line. It was not done for revenue considerations. It was more an exercise to simplify the entire long-term capital gains and also to make sure all asset classes are treated similarly.
So you're saying there's no relook that you're planning on this issue?
It is now a property of the Parliament. I can't comment on it beyond this.
Because there are some people who have said that while you're treating, the appreciation, there is no indexation on the basis of the real value because inflation hasn't been taken into account in the period that an asset was bought and when it is being valued today.
Getting a sale
today. Number one, the issue of inflation has not been looked at. And the second, the cost of money, which means most people who are buying assets like a home or something will take a loan, and there is an interest burden that they will carry. Some of those people, and they might not be the super rich in the highest tax bracket, have put this out. I'm only bringing to you Sawal Public Ka.
Absolutely no harm in asking, and I'm willing to answer every question. Sawal Public Ka, and my answer is also for the public, and I appreciate you asking it. But I'm saying please go back to look at the FAQs and the issues which have been given clarity through the CBDT.
Well, so let me also ask you, Mr. Chidambaram, your predecessor in this very building, not block, says that you're very happy. He's very happy that you were reading his and his party's manifesto, where you picked up the ELI, the internship. On the internship issue, and he says angel tax that was removed was also their idea in the manifesto. Really, were there some efforts made to look at other people's manifestos, other parties' manifestos before the BJP finalized its own policy?
I would want to first of all remind that it was the Congress party which brought in the angel tax in the first place. That was in 2012. And they were there in power for 2 years after that. This removal which we are doing now, they should have removed it much before they went away. So it's very nice for the Congress party to remind me saying, we said that this should be removed. So in fact, there was a tweet, I think, saying it's an exploitative tax. It should be removed. My question is, who brought the exploitative tax in the first place? Who brought it in? Congress party. Before 14, you could have removed it before you went away. Why didn't you? And in the 10 years, we have tried eliminating all kinds of weeds, poisonous weeds, which were part of this.
It took you 10 years?
Yes, systematically we've removed this, the startups from it. We last year brought in an amendment to make sure that parity is brought between the way in which the investors, domestic investors, NRI, are treated similarly. So we tried making it less toxic, if I may use that word. Then, after a lot of discussions, since we understood in the sense that this serves no additional purpose, if really black money has to be curtailed, for which it was brought in, we have the PMLA, we have the Black Money Act, and particularly because Black Money Act post-2015 brought in by this government are all there, we will use them. And therefore we've removed this. Congress party which brought it in, Congress party which lived with it for 2 years, and Congress party which typically calls its own law exploitative today's. They should actually congratulate us for having removed what they brought in, a toxic thing into the system. They brought in this toxicity.
So let me ask